Hey, Poppulse Secrets fans. We've got a heart-wrenching story for you today. Let's jump in and tell us, what city are you watching from? Marcus Chen sat alone in his sleek downtown office, the city lights of Manhattan twinkling 40 stories below like distant stars. His jaw clenched as he scrolled through his phone, staring at the same text message for the 100th time. I'll be home late again tonight. Don't wait up. 3 months. 3 months of late nights. 3 months of his wife, Elena, slipping away like sand through his fingers. He leaned back in his leather chair, his steel-gray eyes reflecting the cold glow of his computer screen. Marcus Chen, the name that made Wall Street traders nervous, the man who'd built a tech empire before 35, felt powerless for the first time in his life. She's having an affair, his best friend Daniel had whispered over whiskey last week. Come on, the signs are all there. Marcus had wanted to punch him. But deep down, the seed of doubt had already been planted. Elena used to greet him at the door with that radiant smile, her emerald eyes lighting up the moment he walked in. But she barely looked up from her phone. Her clothes smelled of unfamiliar cologne. She'd changed her passwords. Started going to the gym at odd hours. His hands trembled as he opened his laptop and typed in the website Daniel had sent him. Spy Guardian Pro, discreet home security cameras. I can't believe I'm doing this, Marcus muttered, his voice cracking in the empty office. But he clicked add to cart anyway. Because not knowing was killing him faster than the truth ever could. 2 days later, Marcus installed the tiny camera himself. It was barely the size of a quarter, hidden perfectly within the decorative bookshelf in their living room, the one Elena had insisted on buying from that vintage store in Brooklyn. The irony wasn't lost on him. He adjusted the angle one last time, making sure it captured the entire living room and the entrance to their bedroom. His heart hammered against his ribcage as he synced it to his phone. Just for a few days, he whispered to himself, though the words felt hollow. Just until I know for sure. That evening, Elena came home at 10:47 p.m. Marcus watched from his phone in the study, pretending to work on quarterly reports. She looked exhausted. Her usually perfect auburn hair was pulled into a messy bun, and her designer blazer hung loosely on her frame. Had she lost weight? Dark circles shadowed those beautiful eyes that had once looked at him like he hung the moon. Elena, dropping her purse on the couch with a heavy sigh. Marcus? You still up? Marcus, emerging from the study, his expression carefully neutral. Yeah. Long day. Elena, not meeting his eyes. You have no idea. I'm going to take a shower and head to bed. Marcus, reaching for her hand, his voice softer than intended. Elena, wait. Can we talk? We haven't really talked in. Elena, pulling away gently, tears glistening in her eyes. Not tonight, Marcus. Please. I'm so tired. She disappeared into their bedroom, and Marcus felt his chest constrict. The camera had captured everything. Her exhaustion, her tears, her reluctance to even look at him. What are you hiding from me? He thought, returning to his study to watch the footage again and again, searching for clues he might have missed. For 3 days, Marcus became a man obsessed. He'd watch the live feed during meetings, during lunch, even during his morning workout. But Elena's behavior only deepened the mystery. She came home late every night, 10:30, 11 o'clock, sometimes even midnight. But she never brought anyone home. Never made suspicious phone calls in the living room. She'd simply collapse on the couch, stare at the ceiling for long minutes, and then drag herself to the bedroom. On the 4th night, something changed. Marcus watched from his phone as Elena came home at 11:15 p.m., but this time, she was carrying a large cardboard box. She set it down carefully on the coffee table, and for the first time in months, he saw her smile. It was small, sad, but genuine. Elena, talking to herself, her voice barely a whisper. Just a few more pieces and then I can show him. She opened the box, and Marcus leaned closer to his phone screen, his heart racing. Inside were art supplies, paintbrushes, canvases, tubes of acrylic paint in every color imaginable. Elena had given up painting years ago. She'd been a brilliant artist in college. That's how they'd met, actually. Marcus had commissioned her for a piece for his first startup's office. But after they married, she'd stopped. Said she needed to focus on practical things. Elena, pulling out a half-finished canvas, her fingers trembling. He's going to think I'm crazy. Throwing away my corporate career for this. But I can't. I can't keep pretending anymore. Marcus's blood ran cold. Throwing away her career? He watched, paralyzed, as Elena pulled out her phone and made a call. Elena, into the phone, her voice stronger now. Hey, Robert. Yeah, I know it's late. I just wanted to confirm. The gallery space is still available next month, right? Yes, I have enough pieces now. 43 paintings. I can't believe I'm actually doing this. She laughed, actually laughed, and Marcus realized he hadn't heard that sound in months. Elena, continuing, I just need to tell Marcus first. I've been hiding this from him for so long and I'm scared, Robert. What if he thinks I'm throwing our life away? What if he doesn't support this? I know. I need to have faith in him. I'll call you after I talk to him. She hung up, and Marcus watched as she pulled out a large canvas from the box. His breath caught. It was a painting of him. Not the cold, calculated businessman everyone else saw. This was him laughing, his head thrown back, eyes crinkled with genuine joy, the way he used to look during their early dates, before the company consumed him. Elena, tracing the painted features with her finger, tears streaming down her face. I miss him. I miss us. God, I hope he understands. I hope he still loves the real me. Marcus's phone slipped from his hands, clattering onto his desk. She wasn't having an affair. She was chasing her dream. All this time, the late nights, the secrecy, the distance, she'd been at the art studio Robert ran downtown, painting, creating, becoming herself again. And she'd been terrified to tell him. Shame washed over Marcus like a tidal wave. He'd suspected her of betrayal when she'd been protecting the most vulnerable parts of herself. When had he become the kind of husband she couldn't trust with her dreams? He remembered their third date at that tiny Italian restaurant in the village. Elena, younger, eyes shining with passion. Someday, I want to have my own gallery show. I want to paint pieces that make people feel something real, you know? Not just pretty pictures, but art that reaches into your chest and squeezes your heart. Marcus, taking her hand across the checkered tablecloth, then you'll do it. And I'll be front row at your opening night. Elena, laughing, you really believe in me? Marcus, dead serious. Elena, I've never been more certain of anything in my life. You're extraordinary. When had he stopped saying things like that? When had he stopped seeing her as anything other than his wife who was supposed to fit into the perfect corporate life he'd built? Marcus stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the hardwood floor. He needed to fix this. He burst out of his study just as Elena emerged from the bedroom, wearing her paint-stained jeans and an old college sweatshirt, clothes she only wore when she thought he was asleep. They froze, staring at each other across the living room. Elena, eyes wide, caught Marcus, crossing the room in 3 strides, his voice breaking, I know everything. Elena, stepping back, confusion and fear flickering across her face. What? How could you possibly? Marcus, running his hand through his hair, shame coloring his features. I installed a camera. I thought, God, Elena, I thought you were having an affair. The words hung in the air like poison. Elena, her face going pale, then flushing with anger. You what? You've been spying on me? Marcus, I know how it sounds, but I was terrified. You were pulling away, coming home late, hiding things. Elena, her voice rising, years of frustration pouring out. Because I was scared, Marcus. Scared that you'd look at me the way you're looking at me right now, like I'm throwing away everything practical for some silly dream. Marcus, reaching for her, it's not silly. Elena, jerking away, tears streaming, do you know how many times I almost told you? How many nights I practiced what I'd say? But every time I looked at you, I saw this successful man who built an empire, and I felt like such a failure for wanting to paint instead of climb some corporate ladder. Marcus, you're not a failure, Elena, laughing bitterly. Really? Because for the past 2 years, every time I mentioned art, you'd change the subject. Every time I suggested visiting a gallery, you were too busy. You stopped asking about my day because my day wasn't productive enough for your world. The accusation hit Marcus like a physical blow because it was true. Every word was true. Marcus, sinking onto the couch, his voice barely a whisper, "I'm sorry. God, Elena, I'm so sorry." Silence stretched between them, heavy with years of misunderstandings and unspoken hurts. Finally, Marcus looked up, his steel-gray eyes now soft and glistening with unshed tears. "Marcus, I saw the painting. The one of me." Elena, wrapping her arms around herself protectively, "Marcus? Marcus, it's beautiful. You captured who I used to be. Who I want to be again." He stood, moving slowly toward her like approaching a wounded bird. "When did I become the kind of man you couldn't trust with your dreams? When did I make you feel like you had to hide the most important parts of yourself?" Elena, her voice cracking, "You didn't mean to. You were building something important and I felt so small compared to all of that." Marcus, finally closing the distance, gently cupping her face in his hands, "You're not small. You're extraordinary. You always have been. And I've been so blind, so consumed with metrics and profits and proving myself that I forgot to see my own wife." Elena, closing her eyes, leaning into his touch, "I have 43 paintings, Marcus. I quit my job last month. I used my savings to rent a gallery space for next month. I've been planning this whole exhibition, and I was going to surprise you, but I was also terrified you'd think I was crazy." Marcus, smiling through his tears, "You remember our third date? At Carmelo's?" Elena, eyes opening, surprised, "Of course. You had the linguine and couldn't use the fork properly." Marcus, laughing wetly, "And you told me about wanting your own gallery show. And I promised I'd be front row at your opening night." His voice grew fierce. "I'm still going to be front row, Elena. I'm going to be the loudest person cheering. I'm going to buy the first painting." Elena, "You don't have to." Marcus, "Yes, I do. Because I forgot who I married. I married an artist. A woman with fire in her soul and paint under her fingernails. Not some corporate clone who pretended to be satisfied with quarterly reports." Elena, breaking down completely, collapsing into his chest, "I was so scared you'd leave me. That you'd think I wasn't good enough anymore." Marcus, wrapping his arms around her tightly, breathing in the scent of paint and turpentine, and Elena, "Leave you? Elena, you're the only thing in my life that's real. Everything else, the company, the money, the success, it all means nothing if I lose you." They stood there in the middle of their living room, holding each other like they might disappear, the hidden camera capturing a moment of raw, honest reconciliation. Elena, pulling back slightly, searching his eyes, "What about the camera?" Marcus, shamefaced, already ordering removal tools. "It's coming out tonight." And Elena? "I'm so sorry. I should have just talked to you. I should have trusted you." Elena, "And I should have trusted you enough to share this dream." Marcus, brushing a tear from her cheek, "New rule, no more secrets. We talk about everything. Even the scary stuff. Especially the scary stuff." Elena, smiling for the first time in months, "Deal." "But Marcus? I'm serious about this art thing. It might not make money right away. It might never make the kind of money you're used to." Marcus, "I don't care about the money. I care about you being happy. I care about coming home to a wife who lights up when she talks about her day instead of just going through the motions." Elena, laughing through tears, "My hands are going to smell like paint thinner all the time." Marcus, "Good. I missed that smell." Elena, "I might need to convert the guest room into a studio." Marcus, "Convert the whole penthouse if you need to. Hell, I'll buy you a studio building." Elena, hitting his chest playfully, "See, this is why I was scared to tell you. You go from zero to buying buildings." Marcus, grinning, really grinning, for the first time in months, "Can't help it. I'm in love with an artist. I have to support her work. Elena, speaking of which, she moved to the cardboard box, pulling out the portrait of him. This was going to be the centerpiece of my show. The man I love, laughing. But looking at it now, I think I need to paint a new one. Marcus, why? Elena, looking between him and the canvas, because I want to capture this Marcus. The one who makes mistakes but owns them. The one who's willing to grow. The one who's standing here telling me my dreams matter. Marcus, pulling her close again, paint me however you want. Just promise me one thing. Elena, what? Marcus, let me come to the studio sometimes. I want to watch you work. I want to be part of this journey with you. Elena, resting her head against his chest, feeling his heartbeat. Robert's studio is pretty small, and there are other artists there who might not. Marcus, then I'll sit quietly in the corner. I'll bring you coffee. I'll be your biggest fan, Elena. That's all I want, to be part of your world again. 6 weeks later, Marcus Chin stood in the Whitman Gallery in Chelsea, surrounded by Elena's paintings. Each canvas told a story, of struggle, of joy, of the quiet moments that make up a life. The gallery was packed. Critics, collectors, and art lovers crowded around each piece, murmuring appreciatively. But Marcus only had eyes for one person. Elena stood near the entrance, radiant in a simple black dress, her hair loose around her shoulders, actually glowing as she discussed her techniques with a prominent art blogger. Marcus, approaching with 2 glasses of champagne, the artist needs refreshment. Elena, accepting the glass with a brilliant smile. My hero. Have I told you how much I love you today? Marcus, only 5 times. I'm holding out for 6. Elena, laughing that full-throated laugh he'd fallen in love with. I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for believing in me even when I couldn't believe in myself. Marcus, always. Though I have to say, that painting over there is getting a lot of attention. He gestured to the centerpiece, a large canvas titled, Trust, Rebuilt. It showed 2 figures, their features abstract but their body language clear, vulnerability, acceptance, love. Elena, it's already sold actually. Some tech entrepreneur paid an obscene amount for it. Marcus, grinning sheepishly, did he? Elena, narrowing her eyes playfully, Marcus Chin, did you buy your own portrait? Marcus, our portrait. And yes, because that painting represents the moment we found each other again. No way I'm letting some stranger hang that in their living room. Elena, shaking her head, but unable to stop smiling, you're impossible. Marcus, impossibly in love with you. As the evening wore on, Marcus watched Elena bloom in her element, discussing art and inspiration and the stories behind each piece. This was the woman he'd married, vibrant, passionate, fully alive. And he'd almost lost her because he'd been too blind to see what she needed. Later that night, as they walked home through the Manhattan streets, hand in hand, Elena stopped suddenly. Elena, hey. I never asked, what did you do with the camera footage? Marcus, pulling her close, deleted everything. Destroyed the camera. The only thing I want to capture about you from now on is your hand in mine and your smile when you create something beautiful. Elena, that's surprisingly poetic for a Texu. Marcus, what can I say? I'm married to an artist. It's rubbing off on me. They continued walking, their laughter echoing off the buildings. 2 people who'd almost lost each other but found their way back. Sometimes the worst thing we can do to the people we love is assume we know them. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give is to see them, really see them, for who they are, not who we need them to be. And sometimes, when you think you're catching someone in a betrayal, you're actually catching them in the act of becoming their truest self. All they need is for you to witness it with love, not suspicion. The truth is, we all hide parts of ourselves sometimes, not because we're being deceptive, but because we're afraid of being vulnerable. Elena wasn't betraying Marcus by pursuing her passion, she was scared of disappointing him. And Marcus wasn't wrong for feeling disconnected, he'd just forgotten to keep truly seeing his wife. The lesson? Trust and communication are the foundation of any relationship. When you feel distance growing, close it with honesty, not surveillance. Create a space where dreams can be shared without fear of judgment. And never stop being curious about the person you love. They're always growing, always changing, and that's something to celebrate, not fear. If this story found you outside Poppulse Secrets, welcome home. Comment below, what story do you want to hear next? And remember, the people we love deserve our trust first, our suspicion never. Until next time, keep believing in love, keep believing in second chances, and keep believing that the best stories are the ones where people choose each other, again and again.